If there is a message for us today, I believe it is to learn to live from our heart in love. These short lessons, hopefully, will help to inspire you to live with purpose, love passionately, and inspire others. We are the change agent our world needs. I'm Helen Taves. Step into the river today with me to explore the mysteries of God. They are not hidden from us, but for us to discover. Okay, well, for those of you who are on the What If Chronicles, tonight is a little bit inspired by some of Kim's questions that she has in the activation and meditation part of the What If Chronicles. And so I'm hoping that for those of you, this particular lesson will help you to really be able to answer some of the questions where she's talking about the quieted water within you. You'll know. And anyway, I'm really looking forward to tonight. Intuition. You know what? Nikola Tesla says instinct is something which transcends knowledge, which we have undoubtedly certain inner fibers that enable us to perceive truths when logical deduction or any other willful effort of the brain is futile. Do you know that it's not just people, but animals that have intuition? We know that animals have survival instincts, right? That they're born with. When we see they see danger, we see it on TV, African animals and being chased. When they see danger, they instinctively run from it, and they use their fight or flight instincts to survive. The neat thing is that they also have intuition. My dad and his dog Bella had an amazingly close relationship. Dad, during the 40s, was in flight training in Canada for long periods of time and was away from his home in Norway. His dog stayed home with the family. So one summer day, the family was enjoying dinner out in the yard. Bella took off down the road at full speed. The railway station for the town that they lived was about a kilometer down the hill. About half an hour later, Bella and my dad walked up to the house together. My dad was surprising the family. He had not told anyone he was coming home. No one knew except Bella. She was down at the station and met my dad as the train pulled in and he came off. Isn't that amazing? And I bet if we took a survey tonight, there are many stories in the room like that. Maybe not animal stories, but as moms, you probably have a story you just knew your child needed you, or there was danger. Or maybe you're the person that stopped their car suddenly for no reason and watched a massive accident that you would have been in had you not listened to your intuition. The definition of intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. It's also a thing that one knows or considers likely from an instinctive feeling rather than conscious reasoning, like a hunch, feeling, gut reaction, inkling, suspicion, impression. Intuition is something within us. I like it. Someone said intuition is into it. It's an intuit in us, an internal sense that is just as important, if not more important at times than our five common physical senses of hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, and feeling. I hesitate to add intuition to the list of those five senses because I believe that intuition comes from within, but it's also an energy force that is felt and identified by some physical responses as like it's an entity of its own. And do you know what? We often ignore it. It's easy to identify the five senses, right? Because we've lived with them since coming to Earth. But our intuition in Western culture has not been allowed to develop in the same way because most people want a tangible proof of existence. We understand, and we've been conditioned to need proof of everything in our 3D world. So, if you're willing to explore the fact that we might have a force within us that is supernatural and that's above what we understand through our physical senses, setting ourselves to the intuitive will mean that you'll start to cooperate more with divine consciousness of the universe, the universe, the one verse song, the one song. I believe that that song is being sung over our life, and I believe that divine consciousness is God. And we can develop intuition by choice. You are not a fragment or segment of life. You are completely a life force in unity with the divine. As a matter of fact, you are divine. You are one in the I am, and you are never separated. What is your reality? Is it only what you can touch and feel and taste and smell? And like I said before, I think we can all attest to the fact that we've experienced more, that our reality is more than physical life. And there's a component of the divine consciousness that you were born into. And intuition is a technology that we all have, actually. Just like we're programmed to recognize physical sensations, we can recognize the spiritual. The terms used to describe what some of call the sixth sense experience use the word clair, which simply means clear in the definition. We're most familiar probably to one of the words called clairvoyance. You know what that means? It means clear vision. It's the faculty of perceiving things or events in the future or things that are beyond normal sensory contact. I was told by many in church life that clairvoyance, especially people who are called clairvoyant, are to be avoided, that it was a doorway to the occult or the new age, and we should stay away and not have anything to do with it. Interestingly, in the same way, we were encouraged to go to the prophets for guidance, however, and these people were just fine, and they were all the woo-woo stuff as well. Also, we talk about dreams and visions. Clairvoyance simply means clear vision. And don't we have clear visions often at night, or even sometimes in daydreams? Doesn't God talk to us, like it says in Job, on our bed in visions of the night? So let's look at some of the definitions of what I'm calling the clair words, okay? The clear words that actually will help us to unlock some understanding to our own intuitive nature. Clairvoyance means clear vision, right? It's an insight to things or event. This sight might be very subtle and may appear as dreams, as visions, colors, glows. It might be a brief movie. I don't know if you've ever shut your eyes and seen this. It's like a movie that happens. It's a mental picture, but it's played out. A flash of a picture, like just an image or a shadow or some like an image of something that's going to happen. You just know it. Clairsentient is a clear feeling. If you experience these clear feelings, then you generally have a knowing through your emotions, also known as the gut feeling. There's clairaudient, clear hearing, the capability of receiving an intuitive vocal message, something that is actually heard. But that hearing, the clear hearing, extends beyond the physical realm. Sometimes When you set yourself in quiet, you will hear a voice speaking to you, or you may hear music. Sometimes I'll say to Ed, can you hear that music? It just seems to be in our atmosphere, and we can hear it. Clear cognizance, clear knowing. And with this experience, you get a logical, factual, inner knowing. That inner knowing are generally facts that are quite separated from your emotions and your feelings. And it's the one where you know because you know because you know. Now, all of these Claire words that I'm calling are all part of your intuition. Each one of them we could actually spend quite a bit of time unpacking more, but for the sake of time tonight, um, I have a feeling I'm going to come back to it because this is subject of intuition is something that should be automatic to it. We should be flowing in it more. And I think as the days in days to come, if you aren't flowing in it, you will be more, because I'm believing tonight you're going to have more courage to go forward. And I'm going to give you some simple things at that we're going to do together, activation, to actually enhance and to help you activate your intuition. So why are these things important? Well, simply, we don't live in a box. We don't only live in a 3D dimensional reality, we live in a multidimensional reality, and we live in it all the time. We simply have not yet the language with some of our human experiences that take us beyond our 5 physical senses. So let's look at ourselves a bit differently. Let's look at ourselves maybe not as a body that has a soul and a spirit, but how about this? You are a body that lives in your spirit. And I know some of you have studied subjects like this, because I know Cindy Lou sent me some material one time on something she was just studying or having experience with, and a picture of a body with auras and energy centers in layers around. It's the perfect picture actually to describe what I'm trying to explain, is that we are a body, but we live in a spiritual realm, and that spiritual realm has layers to it. And that's for another day as well. Everything is energy. So we can say, how about this? We are the energy in our energy. And we're trying to unpack that slowly as we go along. In the second what if challenge that we did, it was what if doubt doesn't exist? And I know some of you were there, so but I just want to bring this into focus for those who weren't there for this lesson. We went through an exercise that was intended to shift our understanding of how we understand the term kingdom of God or kingdom of heaven. And we did it by inserting the term substance instead of the word kingdom. When you do that, you create a paradox. It's like seemingly the definition is seemingly absurd or self-contradictory statement or proposition that, when it's investigated or explains, proves to be well-founded or true. So we determined that substance of God or the kingdom of God are really the same. They can be terms that are um, can be used, because faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Yet for things tangible and those spiritual, substance is still a great descriptive. Substance, now we're using the word substance instead of kingdom, right? So substance defined can be essential nature, just like kingdom. Substance is a fundamental or characteristic part or quality. Substance is an ultimate reality that underlines all outward manifestations and change. Can you see the paradox to kingdom? Substance can be practical importance. It can be physical material from which something is made or which has discrete existence. Substance can be the matter of particular or a definite chemical constitution, or substance can be material possessions. So if you'll suspend your thinking for a moment past the kingdom of heaven thoughts and allow yourself a new possibility, I'm going to just read this word when we substitute substance for kingdom. So in Matthew 3:2, the substance of God is at hand. Seek first the substance of God, Matthew 6. Inherit the substance prepared for you from the foundation of the world. Unto you is given the mysteries of the substance of God, in Luke 8. The substance of God has come near you, in Luke 10. Behold, the substance of God is within you. You see, when you look at things in this kind of a paradox, you get a completely different understanding. And one of the objects of this is to help understand that there's no separation in our world as we know of kingdom, and the reality that we are that kingdom. And this is a paradox, but it's important for our reality that we understand that we are the substance of heaven. Actually, heaven and earth aren't separate. We separate them. And again, that's for another time. Heaven is at hand, all around us. We're created from the substance of the universe. We're one with the creation, and we lack nothing because all of creation is within us. Nothing is separate. We separate everything by our learned perceptions and our training. We have been trained to know something exists in a certain way, and unless something comes along to challenge that, like what if challenges, we live defending the belief that we understand. It's the funniest Ian Clayton story. There, a number of years ago, over 10 years ago now, I was in Toronto at a conference and with the admin crew, and and Ian and I had come down for breakfast earlier, and so we were sitting and chatting, and it was the night his daughter gave birth to his first granddaughter. So we sat in the afterglow of that with pictures, of course, because he had Snapchat or whatever, and it talked about children and babies, and he told the most funny story, except it's a little odd. I call it the banana story, because I guess he and his wife, with their daughter, gave their daughter an orange. I think that's how the story goes, but they called it a banana. And they were just making fun, but the daughter grew as just a little girl, calling an orange a banana. And he said it was such a lesson. They were just being silly and funny, but that's how we get locked into believing something that we are told. He said it took quite an unraveling for that little girl to find out that a banana wasn't an orange. Does that sound, I mean, I don't want that to sound any silly or cruel or something. That wasn't the intention. The intention of the story and what they experienced was that we really do defend a belief that we understand, and that like that little girl had to do a whole paradigm shift. And I've never forgotten that, because as we've struggled with so many paradigms, and how important it is to learn to let go of some some of the things that we've learned so that we can go on to other things. I don't know who said it to me this week, but it was really a cool analogy as well. It said when you're climbing stairs, you have to allow the step that you came off of to disappear if you're going to grow, so that you don't go backwards. And for me, that was a fun image anyway. Okay, I haven't forgotten the title of this lesson is intuition. The first key to understanding the importance of intuition is to, number one, know it even exists. And the second key is to give it your attention. If you've brushed off the signs of your intuitive sense, if every time you have a sense of something, an intuition to something like that was described in our Claire definitions, then you've probably been hypnotized to believe that it doesn't exist. And I mean that sincerely. We're born with it. And although it doesn't operate in the same dimensional world as the other senses, it's no less real. Now, the Institute of Heart Math was my first and most helpful understanding to intuition. You know that I couldn't let this lesson go without bringing it up. You know I'm a big fan, and in particular, adopting the heart-brain coherence technique as part of my life. I won't be going into it. It's on the river. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. It's worth your time. It was a journey I started 10 years ago, and one that has expanded my life and helped me to be the heart-brain coherence has helped to be a stabilizing directive to every activation that I've experienced. I've learned when I'm in a state of coherence, when my heart and brain are in coherence, physically I'm in coherence as well with the earth. Actually, that is a fact, scientific fact. Your heart-brain frequency when you come into coherence is actually the same as the earth, and there's a whole other cycle. And this activation and doing it has not let me down, not even once. Whether I have to center myself because of an emotional situation or a social or a physical challenge, this coherence is central to my ability to reach into higher realms, to live out of my sacred self, as well as grounding when I need to 3D. Learning it involved into even involved, it certainly did. Learning it evolved into living it. And it's the best 5 minutes I ever spend in a day, or sometimes more than once, no, 1 5-minute segment. And it became a simple matter then to enter into the intuitive nature within myself to communicate with my heart energy. And that has been an amazing thing to take into these recent years as we're growing and learning with the understanding of I am and our I amness, and with Christ consciousness. The research shows that as we establish the heart-brain coherence over time, our bodies will reset any emotional imbalance, and it includes a reset of fear, depression, anxiety, stress, impatience, frustration, and it begins to create a peaceful balance within your being. You know, if you've been with the river, you know how to do that. I wanted to emphasize it because it's very, very important in our well-being to be at a point where we can become centered. It's the key, actually, to the freedom of learning to live in our intuitions. And I think all of the clairs, like the clairvoyant, the clairsentient that I've just been talking about, that they are all there. I was going to go into a whole other thing, saying that each one we generally may operate in a little bit more effectively or easily than others, but they are all there and all to be part of us. So Um, in understanding the powers of our heart, which is really important, the Heart Math Institute wanted to examine what mysterious powers that the heart might hold. And in one study, participants were shown pictures of some beautiful, some disturbing, and some just neutral. These participants were hooked up to machines that measured their cardiac activity, and the machines would measure what the heart was doing while some provocative pictures were shown. And researchers found out that the heart was responding to the emotionally provocative pictures. Are you ready? Prior to them even being seen. So they had flashcards, right? They're showing a picture and you have an emotion. Showing a picture and there's emotion. And some of the pictures would elicit a greater emotional response than others. They found out that up to a full 6 seconds before the photos were shown, the heart would react to what was coming. Somehow, the heart was receiving intuitive information before the brain. And in fact, the heart appeared to be looking into the future. Roland McCready with the Institute of Heart Math says the heart has access to information outside the boundaries of space and time, and it's been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. Studies show that the heart is able to think, to feel, and have emotions on its own. And your heart is an intrinsic part of your intuition, and your heart communicates to your body through your sacred self. Communicating with your heart is a part of learning to grow in your powers of intuition. And your physical body is also a part of communicating intuitive understanding that you will be able to rely on. Tuning to your body and your heart's intelligence is a part of the process. Now, everyone learns and experiences differently and uniquely. So there is no correct or incorrect way of receiving your heart's wisdom. The key is to know what works for you. Isn't there freedom in that? So I'm not trying to share some as we go into some of in this particular activation, not trying to put you into a box and say, this is the way you do it and these are the results you're going to have, because your intuition is part of your relationship with God. And you know what? God knows the language that you speak. He knows how to get your attention, and he knows how to get your understanding, and he's your best teacher. So I want to encourage you to understand that as well. When you're in your heart-brain coherence, you'll have a greater ease of trusting, because you come into a place that you recognize peace and love as powerful frequencies that you live in. Living from your heart of love, you will be communicating from the mind of God, which gives you access to deep intuition and to the intelligence of your heart. Intuition is probably one of the most important and seriously one of the gifts that we have to be able to flow in our life at a level that will take us dimensionally into the places that we are dreaming of doing. Now, Heart Brain Institute, or Institute of Heart Math, has a teaching called Ask Your Heart. So you can look that up too on our lessons in the river. But I've come across a great 3-step overview of how to train yourself to recognize and work with your intuitive nature. And I've been using this personally, and I found that it's one of the simplest sort of training aids or reminders, and I want to share it with you because of its simplicity. And this comes from I think she's has her doctorate, but her name's Sonia Choquette, Choquette, and she defines 3 types of intuition. She does this for a living, guys. She is an amazing resource. Just a bit on a side note, I was going to say a disclaimer, but I don't want to use that term because I can't really lay claim to something that I don't know much about. And in her teaching, she will often refer to channeling, to mediums, spirit guides, and I know so little on those subjects, and I have so little experience that I've chosen not to pursue these areas of study in this understanding of intuition. I personally just enjoy an intimate relationship with God, and I haven't figured out yet why I need a middleman in any conversation that I may have with God one to one. That does not mean I'm that there aren't other ways. I have chosen to just streamline the way to God. That's it. So be aware that we have different ways to learn, and we're unique in our physical and emotional bodies. Our language is different too. Like one of us might say frequency, the other might say vibe or hunch, or just simply find your own comfortable expressions if you need to. One person may act strongly physically. You may, in an intuitive state, you might actually feel ill. You might have hot hands, feet, some kind of physical reaction. Goosebumps. We call them goosebumps. I'm sure there's another cool word for it, but you know what I'm talking about, where you're feeling bumpy all over. Anyway, intuition is available to us in the same way as any other modality that you might use. Intuition is our sixth sense, right? Maybe intuition affects the energy of our heart, and our heart and brain and coherence affect the body. I'll let you decide and work that out. So here's the thing that we need to realize. If you don't believe it worked, it won't. Remember, we talked about doubt, and doubt is created by us, really. Trust in your vibes, trust in your frequency. So let's see some examples. So in this teaching, I've already forgotten her name, Sonia. That was nasty. Sonia, I really appreciate her teaching. She has the 3 levels of intuition that she teaches: intuition red, green, and white. She doesn't call it intuition red. I'm calling it that. She calls it just red, green, and white. But intuition red is the symbol for the type of intuition that relates to you wanting to say stop. Have you ever had that feeling? Like, think about a time where you've had a sense that you're not doing the right thing or going in the right direction. You just feel, I need to stop. This intuition is the kind that makes make the hair stand up on the back of your neck, give you chills, or make you feel shaken. This type of intuition is a strong instinct to survive, and it'll begin with a thought like you're sensing a predator. This red, that is intuition red, we're calling it, is felt in your body in the area of your gut. It's like you've been punched. And I'm going to say to you, always go with your gut. One day, my daughter Sue, she was a teenager, and she had been driving in a snowstorm, actually, on a highway just close to the house. And she called me from the side of the highway. She said, "Mom, you're not going to believe this, but all of a sudden I had this feeling in my gut like I've been punched. Get off the highway now. And she said, I just pulled over. And as I got onto the gravel and pulled over, now these highways are going 100 kilometers per hour. She said, this huge semi truck out of control went by me. If I hadn't done that, I don't know what would have happened. Go with your gut. The best way to react to intuition red is to bring language to the situation. This is an important part to think about. When you're in a type of situation where you're very uncomfortable, the best thing to do is to say the word stop out loud so you can hear yourself. It's a good thing too, because if you're with others, saying something will get their attention and then you can explain it. You can stop the action. For instance, if you have that sense of getting on an airplane or a bus or a plane, whatever, and all of a sudden you have that, no, I can't do it. It doesn't matter what it is. Stop. Red light, stop. Sometimes, now I know that there are times where we've been in a situation. Okay, well, I'll use this one. And I know I've used this one before. It's being out at the cottage in the winter, and in a very, very peaceful setting, sunny day, out snowshoeing on the lake. It was beautiful. There was no reason for me saying stop, but I said to Ed, stop. And I didn't say stop, but very firmly, we have to pack up and leave now. When we did that, when we thank God for a husband that is on the same track as me, but we did, without any logical reasoning, we got into the car and left. Now we're 4 hours from our home, and we're in a very, very not desolate, isolated place. By the time we were on the road for half an hour, a storm came in that paralyzed the area that we're in. And had we not left then, we would have literally been there for a week or in worse problems. The storm came in so fast. We didn't know, had no way of knowing. Red light, stop, act on it. Just practice. You know that you can have intuition read in type of dreams, and when you have those, I'm putting it into dream because I'm very interested in dream interpretation, and I've experienced this intuition, read intuition for things that have happened in a dream. And I'm going to tell you, friends of ours were traveling from coming back from their wintering in Palm Springs, and they were taking separate cars to come back to Winnipeg. And I watched as her name's Janice, as in my dream, I saw Janice in her car go out of control into oncoming traffic, and they were on a highway in the States. I saw it as clear as day, and I realized this was an intuition read dream. And in that, I prayed for her safety, for everything for the whole scenario that I saw clearly. I dealt with every area on it. When they came home, her husband, we were having dinner, and he said, we had the worst thing happen on the highway. I was so frightened. He said, I was driving in front of Janice and she lost control of the car. And it was so odd because there were there were so many vehicles coming toward her, and I was in front of her and couldn't stop to help her or see what was going on. But through my back, in the back mirror, he said it was like she threaded through the traffic to stop, and they got home safely. Pray those kind of dreams, intuition read. Mother's intuition, father's intuition, friend intuition. Trust it. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. Okay, there's lots we can probably share. Intuition green. Green means go. And this intuition points to an awareness to be creative. It needs to be in a quiet state of mind, which is one of the reasons that I started with the whole heart-brain coherence, how that is so important in my life. But if you want to tap into this intuitive part of you, I'm going to share a particular modality, and it's really easy. When you want to tap into it, it could be at work, it could be at home, it could be anywhere. Now, remember, you want to be creative, so you're going into a creative state. Here's what we're going to do. And we're going to do it together, but I'm going to describe it first, okay? The first thing you do is focus on something in your room. And you can do that, I'll do that right now. Just choose 3 random things in the room. Probably, if you've been looking at the screen, just relax, pick out 3 things and just give your attention to them. Not serious attention, just say, oh, I can feel the texture in my sweater. And I have a teapot right next to me. My pen. Okay, it just takes your attention away. It gives you a bit of a shift. Now we're going to take 3 breaths. Breathe in fully. And then breathe out as though you're blowing out a candle. So it's a forceful. You're going to do this 2 times. Breathe in fully. And then breathe out as though you're blowing out a candle. Now your next breath, and breathe in fully. Now you're going to breathe out, and you're going to imagine yourself going down a slide as you breathe out. But as you breathe out, you're going to let an audible ah. So it goes like this. Breathe in. Ah. Okay. Let's just do this breathing together, just for fun. Okay. Breathe in fully. Breathe out as you're blowing out a candle. Okay, do it again. Now the third one, breathe in fully. Now imagine yourself, breathe out, going down the slide. Oh. Now, if you did that, how do you feel? Could you feel the quiet at the end, like the silence? I'm going to encourage you to do it again afterwards, because this is actually one of the most intuitive places you can be. And in this place, you can be very creative. In this place, you can ask anything. Should I do this? What do I do to solve the design of what I'm doing? What is the name of the book you want me to write? Cool things, cool things. Come into that intuitive place. I've been using that that 3 breath modality, I just calling it. And it is such an easy thing, just breathing out, and that breathing out that audible, going down the slide lands you in such an amazing place of quiet silence, and you're into your intuitive nature to be creative. Would be a great thing for you to do if you're in a meeting, or to get the creativity need for or the answer for something that needs to be done. Cool. Anyway, okay, we're going to go. The last one is called Intuition White, and this is the spiritual intuitive path. It's actually the energy that's with you and your higher or sacred self. Sometimes there's moments, what I call the niggles. Everyone's had those niggles, right? You're doing something, you're going in a direction that feels just a little bit off. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong, but it means you really should do a course correction or do something else. It, of course, could mean that you're doing something wrong, but hopefully you don't get a niggle for that, because you know what's right and what's wrong for you. But if you have those little nigglies, pay attention to them. Don't make them larger than life, but just rest and make your course correction. If you do find yourself in an area where you really are going in the wrong direction, and it can get you into a problem, it's the one where I'm going to call it sin. It's the thing where you're doing something for maybe the first time. Well, here's one I can use. You want to steal something. You're a teenager. You want to steal something. You feel that niggle. But boy, it's easy, right? You can just grab that candy bar, stick in your pocket, nobody's seen it, and you walk out. Now, your conscience, start with your intuition, but your conscience is there to help. If you go into situations like that and you don't do your course correction, First Timothy says it will sear your conscience, and it's impossible, almost impossible, because nothing's impossible with God. Because it's like searing a steak. Your conscience gets seared. When you sear a steak, it's very difficult to unsear a steak. It's like walking with a stone in your shoe. That's a very negative, but it's an important part. When your intuition speaks here, it's actually the voice of God directly. And personally, I believe all our intuition is from God. Who else has access, right, to your divine nature, to your sacred self? So I'm going to leave it here tonight. Review the types, because you might feel stronger in some than other. All of them are yours to discover. Clairvoyance, don't be don't be concerned with the word if it's been negative. It's not. It's your intuition. Language is visual. It's clear vision, dreams, visions. It's beautiful. If you're clairsentient, your intuition translates from feelings. Don't ignore your feelings. When your intuition is part of it, they're generally strong, and it may elicit physical reactions. Be aware of them, become part of them, welcome them, because it can be part of your natural you in situations. And you'll end up just smiling at, you get goosebumps on certain things that really touch you. Let them, embrace them. It's how your intuitive nature is created. The clairaudient, you might hear sounds from other dimensions. Actually, you might start hearing instructions, like a word or a phrase. Tune in. Get into that lovely quiet place. They're This is a part of your intuitive life. And the claircognizance, this is the place, and I know that you've had it because you know, because you know, because you know. It's okay to just know. It's okay because you know what? When you act on what you know, you can't go wrong. There is somebody that is wise and loving and kind as your Heavenly Father, and your direction will come if you're going too far left or too far right. Go with your knower. Trust your knower. Trust God in the middle of your intuition.